What's up, guys? So today I want to talk about why I'm against third person in Cyberpunk and why I think it shouldn't be in any games moving forward. Okay, now look, I know that sounded a little extreme, okay, but I'm not completely opposed to it, but just hear me out. For me, Cyberpunk is one of the most immersive games that I've ever played, right? And that's due to many different things. It's due to the open world, the lore, the voice acting, a lot of different things, the gameplay. But one thing I feel is in a sense underrated in terms of talking about how immersive the game is the fact that it's all in first person apart from driving. As soon as you step outside of your vehicle, as soon as you walk up to somebody and engage in an active dialogue, that's all in first person. When you enter one of those kind of quick action sequences that involve quick time events, that's all in first person. Any flashbacks that you may have with Johnny, all in first person. Going back to the whole dialogue thing, when you engage in an active dialogue, you can kind of see your little hand movements as V. All that really, that counts towards the immersion. And it may sound like such a small thing, right? Just saying it out loud, but while you're playing it, I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it's the smaller things, right? The smaller things that really make the overall game just what it is. Another thing that really I think, pushes this whole thing of being immersed in the game is the fact that there aren't necessarily cutscenes in the game, right? So let's just say you were to play all of Cyberpunk. Let's just say you put like 40 hours, right? Let's just say nobody actually does this, but let's just say you put 40 hours straight into Cyberpunk. No stopping, no nothing. You would probably see a couple black screens in that entire 40 hours, and those black screens will probably last at most like 5 seconds. That's just the way the game is designed, it seems, probably also with the engine they use. Of course, there are most likely loading screens hidden around in certain areas when you're standing in an elevator maybe and you're talking to Johnny. But I mean, I think I can speak for everyone when I say we'd all prefer that over just sitting and staring at a black screen. Even if you were to look at the brain dances, I'm pretty sure on, the new gen consoles, well, I guess they're current gen consoles, right? The PS5 and Xbox, and I guess depending on the type of PC you have, you probably have this, I guess, feature too. But the brain dances don't have loading screens. On the PS4, when I played it, when I first got the game, yeah, you sat on a loading screen for like 10 seconds to get into the brain dance. But as soon as I switched over to a PS5, I noticed that the brain dances had no loading screens. It threw you directly into there. So again, that counts toward the whole, the overall immersion of the game. While I don't think adding third person to Cyberpunk 2, other than just having it while driving, I don't think it would, mess up the game completely. I do think the immersion would take an overall, overall it would take a hit, a pretty significant hit in my opinion. Gladly, I'd like to be wrong, but I do think this counts more than a lot of people think. A lot of people like to bring up The Witcher, I guess because they're, CD Projekt Red also made that game. I haven't finished The Witcher. I probably got like 3 hours into it. But yeah, that game is definitely immersive. I know a game like me, I always like to bring up Mass Effect or the Horizon games. Those games are all only third person, but they're super immersive games. I just think in this case, since Cyberpunk has only, I guess it's only one game, it's only been third person apart from driving in the game, I think they should probably stick with that because we already have that feeling, right? Like we already have that feeling of really being in there, really feeling like we're there. I guess it is subjective, right? But I do feel like it has to be, like, I don't think there's any way for you to be more immersed in a game if you're not in first person, just because of the simple fact that it's like real life. Like it's almost like you, except you're just looking at it through a screen. In real life, you can't see your surroundings, right? You can't see your body and then look at your surroundings as well. You can't peek around corners like you're in a third person game. And I feel like that's part of what Cyberpunk is, the real, like that real immersion, really feeling like you're in there, you're in V's shoes or Johnny, or you're just in Night City. And I know it is subjective because a lot of people, depending on who you ask, they will say, no, third person is more immersive because you can really look at your surroundings, you can get a better I guess feel of your surroundings, being able to look at your characters and things like that, which I can agree with. I don't, take away from that argument at all. It's just I think that overall the immersion really, it really benefits from being only in third person. And something I do agree with those who say they want third person in the next Cyberpunk game are those who, say it because they want to see their character customization, because this game has such an in-depth character customization, but you can barely see yourself. You can only really see yourself in a mirror or, in reflections, or if you go into the photo mode. That is something I agree with, right? I can understand why you would want that. It's just that I can't really see, like, just imagine in your head Cyberpunk gameplay in third person. Like, have you guys seen those videos? Like, it'll be like, this is the reason why Cyberpunk 2077 isn't in third person, and the character movements and all look really weird. Of course, that's just due to the fact that the game specifically made for first person, so you're not really supposed to see those movements outside of first person. But just imagine, even if the game was made and tuned for third person, just imagine, like, it wouldn't feel right, I don't think, because of the simple fact that we've already seen what the game's like in third person. Excuse me, in first person. We've already seen what the game looks like in first person, so it almost just, like, it doesn't feel right, you know? Honestly, I think CDPR should just stick with The Witcher being their third person game. Cyberpunk, they keep that as the first person game. That's just me though. Am I crazy? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Am I alone on this? This video is probably going to be like 4 minutes long. I honestly thought it'd be like 2 minutes. That's what I intended, but I got a little too into it, I guess. But yeah, let me know in the comments as always. And you know, a lot of people have been liking the Cyberpunk videos lately, so I think I'm gonna just keep at it since, you know, everybody's liking it. I've been enjoying talking about it, so it's a win-win here, you know? If there's anything specific you guys want me to talk about, let me know in the comments. I always enjoy talking about this stuff, like I said. So yeah, like the video if you like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.